Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another AFL Fantasy Fanatics Game Day Squad preview show ahead of round 20. Looking forward to this round of footy. Some good games and quite hard, I reckon, to put a Game Day Squad together because there's a lot of players that got some really good matchups, and I found it quite tough to sort out my squad for the week, but we have sorted it and we're ready to go. I'm your host, Bales, and you can find me at BAILSDT across the socials. And joining me, as always, is my co-host and fellow Game Day Squad fanatic. It is Tom. Tom, mate, how are you? How has the last week been for you?
Mate, I'm bloody fantastic. I know you are the same, Bales, but for anyone else watching along, we are multi-sport athletes. We'll say that very
exciting. Game Day Squad news today, I'm assuming is what you're referring to.
Yeah, for sure, mate. We just launched football fantasy on Game Day Squad, which is the English soccer. So for anyone that is a fan of the EPL who loves it, we're doing things a little bit differently. We've changed a little bit. We've changed the competitions and how they work. So it's really just tailored to sort of that progression. We have that dynasty mindset on, as always, and we know that you'll love it. We've got new features like emergencies that have been added to the game as well. We've got a fixed lockout, so it is our easiest game. So if you haven't played or if you're new to Game Day Squad and you're just getting your head around things, this is the one for you, especially if you love your soccer like we do here. So I've been a big smile on my face all day. I've been opening packs. The community's been loving it. And, it's going to be a fantastic round. So hopefully that good energy and good vibes can now translate into a good week on the track here, mate, and some points.
Yep, exactly. The one question I have for you, though, because obviously a lot of soccer fans out there, and we'll get into the fantasy footy chat just in a sec, but have you got yourself an Erling Haaland or Mohamed Salah yet? Because they're the two players that you want. There's a few other guys you'd love to have, like a Bukayo Saka, Heung-min Son, Bruno Fernandes, guys like that. But have you got a Salah or a Haaland yet?
I do. I did. I did get lucky enough to get a Erling Haaland in my starter packs, and then I did open a couple of store packs as well. Got some 9-player commons and got myself a silver Mohamed Salah. So I do have one of a Haaland and a Salah. And I've got one of my favorites, a midfielder in Eze as well. So I love Eze. I love the way he goes about it. And I got his bronze card. So it's definitely one I'll be playing a lot this season. So I'm pumped.
I'm jealous because I don't have either. So I'm hoping to get some in some packs when I open some in the store. But make sure you do get around it. And use the code BAILSDT at sign up, because you can also use that code to get some free packs for the soccer as well. So you can use it for any sport that you want. If you want to stick to footy, feel free, but you can do it any sport. So you might even want to do that with the soccer starting on Game Day Squad. So get around it. Head to GameDaySquad.com.au. Register if you haven't signed up. Use the code BAILSDT and get yourself some free packs. But we do have another round of footy. We've got 5 rounds to go of the footy for the 2025 season before we kick off for finals. So we'll go through the games as we always do. Chat about a player that we're keen or not so keen on. Probably we do this next year. We've got to probably name, like, instead of going keen or not so keen on, we've got to go like stocks up, stocks down, maybe, or something like that. But that's all good. We'll continue what we've done for the whole season. So we will touch back on we'll do Friday night first, because in 3 minutes' time, the squads for Thursday night will come out and we'll get to see. So we'll go to Friday night, the 2 games. So we'll start off with Essendon and the Bulldogs at Marvel Stadium. Probably the game that's fantasy relevant, but we're going to be watching the other game because I'm looking forward to the other one. But who are you keen on or not so keen on from this one?
Yeah, I'm going to go keen on, and I haven't started him too often this year. I probably have been a little critical of his performance, of his play. It's the big bad Bont. Marcus Bontempelli in this game against the Dons could do something very, very silly. I think he's in for a massive performance. He can kick goals. He can get his hands on the footy. He just does a little bit of everything. And as a midfielder who's finally just found his best form of the year, if you just go over his past couple of scores, we've got a 147, an 84, and then a 151, a 186, and a 125. So other than that one outlier performance where he played a little worse, he has been on a tear. So he's definitely someone I'm going to be starting in the midfield. I'm very keen to play Marcus Bontempelli, and one that you feel good about, because not only is he good at fantasy, he's one of the best players, just period, and lovely to watch at that.
Yep, exactly. He is a absolute jet for sure. Someone I'm actually quite keen to play. I think Rucks, there are 3 for me, standout rucks this week that you could genuinely play all three. But obviously, we know in GameDay Squad, you can only play the two of them. So I like Tim English this week. One of your boys, English, I think, against Essendon, I think he's going to run rampant. And I was thinking, is there someone in the team that if they're up by a lot, do they rest him? There's not really anyone because they're not going to put Darcy full-time they're up. They're not going to just rest English. So I think English is going to play the whole game, and I think that's going to be good for his fantasy points. I really like him as an option this week against the Bombers, and he's been in great form. So he is the second highest averaging ruck for the season behind Max Gawn. And yeah, he's just an absolute gun. So I really do like Tim English. Now we'll move to Battle of the Bridge, GWS and Sydney at NG Stadium. Big game this one. Sydney win. Their finals hopes are still alive. And if the Giants win, they'll end the hopes of their crosstown rollers, but also stay in the 8, because if they lose, then they might be the team that misses out. So big game here. Who do you like in this game, or who don't you like?
Going to go to being a negative Nancy. And of course, as a Swans fan, people are going to say, oh, you're only saying it because you're a blood supporter. Blah, blah, blah. All right, I get it. But I'm actually going to fade Lockie Whitfield. I think he's going to get some attention in this game. We have seen in the past that Whitfield has played a little worse. And he's, in terms of his score and his ceiling, let's call it, in these games, they just haven't quite been as high. Like, he still will get his hands on the footy, but he just won't have that game where he explodes, because as I said, we're known to put some attention into him. We're going to want to stop his impact on the game. So for this round in particular, where people, look at Whitfield as normally a lock in the squad, I'm going to go a little different. I'm going to trust that he isn't going to play as well, and there'll be some better options around the ground. So Lockie Whitfield, as one of the best defenders all season, a fade for me in this round in particular. How about yourself, Bales?
I don't have him in my squad either at the moment. I think there's a lot of good defenders this week, good matchups that could go big. So I currently don't have him either. I actually don't even have Lockie Ash, to be honest, at the moment, because there's a lot of good options this week. There's some really good matchups. So I don't currently have him there. Whether I leave both out, I'm not sure. But player I'm keen on here, I was talking to you off camera. This guy's resurgence over the last 10, 12 weeks has been incredible. Brodie Grundy. A lot of people, including myself, probably thought, is he really going to get back to that level of fantasy scoring? But he has just been fantastic, and just I'm not going to even reel off all the numbers for the last 10 minutes, because he just gets 120s in GameDay Squad without doubt, right? Just keeps getting it done, and he's got another great match against Briggs this week. He's got a great run for the rest of the year. So for me, I think he is almost a lineup lock at the moment. The way that he's playing, he's the number one player in terms of form. Just. Not really much more I can say. The Ruck Pig, we love him. I know you love him, obviously, being a Swans fan, and he's just been a great pickup. So, yeah, Brodie Grundy, get him in.
I told you, Bales. I've been on this for weeks, mate.
Yeah.
Been on it for weeks. And just one thing we need to call out, because it's very rare this happens, but 62 hitouts he won the weekend.
Sydney, do you know what the stat was from hitouts for the team's perspective? Sydney won 80 hitouts to North Melbourne's 10 for the game. So
I know we're not talking about
I know Coleman
the other
Jones
side, but that shows how good Cherry is.
I know Coleman Jones going down was obviously a big reason for that as well, but they might have won an extra 10 hitouts or so. Like, Grundy was dominant and he was fantastic. So, yep, make sure he is in your squads. Before we do get to the teams from Thursday night, we actually skipped over our recaps for round 19 and how we're going in terms of like classic and contender and that. So quickly throw to you. How did you go in the comps that you're sort of looking at closely, and what was your ranks for the round, and where's your sort of ranks in terms of the classic contender, and if you're sort of in the hunt for some prize cards or anything like that?
Yeah, so look, I didn't hear the first part of that. I think I had a bit of an error with hearing it, but you're talking about my ranks. And
just from last week. So we accidentally skipped over it, so I thought we could recap it now, then go into Thursday teams.
Absolutely, mate. So 55 was my rank for the round in Classic. I scored 2,751 fantasy points, and that seasonal rank now has me at 21st. So I am just out of that top 20 since, and how far ahead? I think you're 350 50 points ahead of me at the moment. So it's pretty tight. It's pretty close all in there. So I'm hoping, we are at the business end of the season. I've really got to make this push now. Otherwise, it probably doesn't happen. So these rounds are more important than ever before for me. So, yeah, did pretty well there. In terms of contender, I am 5th for the season. There's a familiar name there at number 1, which I won't say. I'll let you get into that later. But ranked 49th for the round, 2,654. So a little deflating that my contender squad nearly outscored my classic, but I guess that's just somehow how the cookie crumbles.
Yeah, exactly. Out of my squad's funny enough, my starter team was the one that actually did quite well this week, which is the one I take least seriously because I just put a couple of different names in there and players that I don't put in other squads, and came second for the week with a 2,702. So only 42 points behind. Baz's Bags was the team that won last week. Contender had a solid week, 36th overall with a 2,677. So the fact that starter only outscored that by about not even 30 points is pretty damning. With I should have made a lot more picks in what I did with starter in contender and classic, and unfortunately in classic had a bit of a shocker. 2,708, 87th for the week, and the most important thing was unfortunately I got knocked out of the Classic Cup. I lost by less than 10 points, and all I had to do was put Cozzy Pickett in there when I knew that Chincotta was out, and put him in there instead of pretty much anyone. Could have been Toby Green, could have been Luke Parker, who had an absolute stinker. Maybe it was just put some different salary cap, like I had on Baz Smith, who had a poor one, Errol Goulden, who had a poor game, Dawson, who wasn't too good either. So the salary and a couple of not great picks, unfortunately, meant I went down in Classic Cup, which is a shame because it's sort of, there's only a couple of rounds to go of it, and I thought I was a chance to maybe get there, but unfortunately not to be. But in terms of the overall ranks, yeah, Classic, sitting at 14th overall, so not too far away from the top 10, not even 100 points away. So it's close. I'm still there for a prize card, right there in the mix. Starter, I think I'm outside the top. I'm 23rd, so we're not looking good there. But you alluded to it before, contender. We didn't get to do a show last week. We both had other commitments, unfortunately, but came first. I'm currently first at the moment by 38 points. So first overall, and you do get a prize card for that. So obviously, I don't know if top 10 for Classic's higher than contender, but obviously you can only get one prize card with whatever comp you win. So I'd like to finish high as I can to have the best chance of getting the best prize card I can. So, yeah, pretty happy with the season, how it's been so far. But let's go back to Thursday night footy with the teams. They have dropped. So Carlton have made the 2 changes, but Hawthorn have made the 1. So Will Day is back in for Hawthorn, big in for them. And unfortunately, Finn McGuinness is out with a lacerated kidney. That they didn't realise that until nearly an hour after the game. So hopefully he's okay. I know that he does tag our fantasy players, but we don't wish, obviously, injuries, especially to that degree. So hopefully he is recovering well. And Carlton have made a couple of changes. Blake Acres and Harry Mackay, a couple of big ins there, come in for Francis Evans, who's out injured, and Flynn Young, who's also out injured. But also we have to shout out one of our favourites, Sam Doherty, one of the fantasy community's favourite players, one of the just general AFL community's favourite players in Sam Doherty. The journey he's been through, a lot of ups and a lot of unfortunate downs, but the fact he's come back every time, played as good as he has, incredible career. Shout out to Sam Doherty, one of my personal favourite players that's not a Crow. So, yeah, he has been a very, very good player. Any words on Doc before we get into keen or not so keen on?
Nah, I think he summarised it pretty well, and in his speeches and everything. He's so liked by everyone. It's very rare you get that, like a player who just transcends beyond their colours that they play for and that everyone can get around. So, yeah, we'll miss him. We'll miss Big Doherty, but I'm sure he'll be on to bigger and better things later on anyway. So, good on him.
Exactly. Well, who are you keen on or not so keen on in this game? Tom, you there?
Yeah, sorry. I think something's going on with my internet. I keep coming in and out. Apologies, mate. So if you said something then, I did not hear it.
I said, who are you keen on or not so keen on this game? Because I was sort of thinking you might have gone on with it.
Gotcha. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I actually don't have anyone starting in this game. So Thursday night footy for me is going to be pretty boring. Normally, I like to get a player or two in there, but I'm not just really sold on anyone. These are two pretty defensive-minded teams. Look, Hawthorn has had some big performances, especially recently. Like Dylan Moore last round played fantastic, but Will Day comes back into the mix. How does that affect everything? I'm just going to be that negative person and say this is just a void period for me. I'm not starting anyone, and I think it's for good reason. There's just not a matchup, or there's not a particular player that I think has as much upside as others this round. So how about avoid Thursday night footy for fantasy altogether and kick it off on Friday?
Yeah, I probably tend to agree, to be honest. There's I'm trying to look for someone that I would go, I'm keen on them or I'm not so keen on. But Carlton and Hawthorn, unfortunately, are just two teams that were not really fantasy relevant in terms of names. If you want to have a throw at the stumps and go for a doc, if you think he's going to rack it up in his final game, maybe in a squad, you want to put him there. I don't hate that idea. Dylan Moore.
That's true.
Dylan Moore was very good last week, so maybe he's a forward that you could have a punt on. Carlton, you think Hawthorn should win the game, even though Carlton have got a few reasons to obviously get up in this one. So Dylan Moore could be one that you like, but yeah, I agree. I'm probably not huge on anyone really in this game from a fantasy perspective. So we will move on to the Q Clash, the first game on the Saturday, Gold Coast, Brisbane. Big game of footy, this one. Looking forward to it. Plenty of fantasy relevant names, and I think we will be keen on a couple of players from this one. Who would you like to talk about?
Who would I like to talk about? I like to talk about Hugh McCluggage. He's had a pretty fantastic year. And, in a midfield where
should be all Australian.
You've got Neil, you've got Dunkley. Sorry, mate?
I said should be all Australian. I reckon is your headphones.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely should be. He's had a pretty rough 2 rounds. He's gone 80 points, 104 points, but there's been a multitude of factors as to why that has happened, especially with the weather last week. And, with someone who was so hot, I'm pretty optimistic that he's sort of going to get back to that. And in a game against the Suns, where they do tend to leak some points to midfielders, and for someone who can get his hands on the pill a lot and could really impact and dominate this game, he's been one of the better mids for the season. He's definitely still a bit of a pod. I don't think he sort of gets the credit he deserves, but he's sitting in my midfield currently. I really like the prospect of starting him. And I know I've been banging the Matty Rowell drum for a long time. And just by the way, I've been nailing that. If everyone played him last week, let's go. But I think Hugh McCluggage could be the top performing player from this game. So definitely getting him into the squad and pretty excited about it, mate. So how about you?
Yep, my worry for McCluggage this week is apparently it's going to be quite wet on Sunday Saturday.
If it's wet again, that will definitely change
at the Gold Coast. So I'm actually really keen on. You mentioned one of them, Matt Rowell. I'm really keen on. If it's going to be wet, tackles galore, I think he'll go well. But I'm also keen on Josh Dunkley. He's a man that's back in form. He had at that period where we weren't playing him in our squads. He wasn't getting it done. Wasn't being consistent enough. But the last couple of weeks, 3 of the last 4 in particular, have been really, really strong performances. So last week ended up having the 15 tackles. The week before had 13. So he's gone 146, 156, 90, and 140 in his last 4 games. So 3 massive scores there, all over 140. And I don't know about you, Tom, but the way that midfielders have been this year, I'd much rather someone either put up a 90 or a 150 and go for those ceiling scores than someone that just gets 110s, 115s every week. I want those ceiling scores. That's where you're going to get the good ranks each week. And Dunkley's been a guy that's been hitting those ceiling scores the last few weeks. So Josh Dunkley, really keen on, but also think I'd shout out Matt Rowell as well, because he's currently sitting in my squad there with the tackle numbers he's putting up. If it's going to be wet again, I think he's going to go well. Did you know, Tom, in the last, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 weeks, he's not gone below 112 points, and only 2 scores have been below 120 in that time frame. So for a guy that doesn't mark the ball, pretty incredible numbers.
Oh, yeah. He's so super consistent and a really good start.
Yeah. Moving to the this is the day of the rivalry games, because we've got another game. We got the Western Derby, which is Fremantle and West Coast. And who are you keen on, not so keen on here? I think we'll be keen on a couple of Dockers from this game.
Yeah, you could say that. definitely. I'm very keen on a couple of players. I'll tell you the player who have the most salary cap on, so maybe indicates who I'm most keen on, is Andy Brayshaw. I've got him in the midfield. I've currently got him at gold in my classic squad. He just, in a game like this, I could just see him going nuts. I could also see him potentially hitting the scoreboard, and that's something that he can do in these games where they sort of get on top. I think the clearance battles, going to definitely be in their favour. They're one of the best or one of the better midfields just in the competition in general, especially when they're rolling with that 1-2 punch. But Andy Brayshaw just sort of seems to be that release player. He kicks it a little more than Sarong, and I just think that his play style and the matchup and everything considered, he could be the top scoring player coming from the game, and hence why I've got a gold on him, and I'm really pretty positive about sort of how he's going to go.
Yep, agreed. I do like Brayshaw. He's also in my squad as well. I also do like Caleb Sarong this week. We know that Caleb Sarong loves playing against West Coast. He has won how many Glendenning Allen medals for best on ground, for those unfamiliar with the name of the medal in the Derby. So I think that he's another good play. But I like Jordan Clark. Jordan Clark's been someone that has been probably quietly going about his business in terms of, we haven't talked about him a huge amount on here. We've talked about him every now and again. Good matchup. We'll talk about him, but he's just getting it done. So he had a massive score in round 9, then had a couple of poor ones. And then he was sort of just a guy that was very middling for a fair part of the first half of the year. But from round 12 onwards, so the game before the bye up until now, he's gone in GameDay Squad 146, 119, 160, 148, had a 56 in round 17. I can't remember exactly who he played that game, but then he's gone 135 and 109. So outside of that 56 he scored, he's gone over 100 in every other game, and a lot of those have been some big ceiling scores. I'm just having a look at who Freo played in round. They played Sydney, so he copped a bit of attention, I would imagine, from a Braden Campbell. Yes, he did the job because Jordan went to Sarong. So that was why he scored low. I don't think there'll be any tension in this game here. I think he'll go quite well, and he is in my squad. So Jordan Clark.
Can I give you an interesting pick from this game? Maybe my pot of the round, let's call it.
Alrighty.
Liam Duggan. I know there's a lot of attention being with McCarthy, but the way that I think this game goes is there's just going to be bulk opportunity for him to get their ball, potentially through kick-ins, potentially through slow play, and he's one of those players that can easily get 20-plus kicks and go off. So if you are looking, there's plenty of good defender options, but yeah, if you're looking for someone with a bit of upside there, I think Duggan could get it done for sure.
Yep, I don't mind that shout. Don't mind the shout at all. Moving to North Melbourne and Geelong at Marvel Stadium. So again, unfortunately for this game and then the Essendon Dogs game, there's just another game at about the same time that people are going to be watching. So interesting that they've put the Giants and Sydney game and then another game on the same time as others. But there you go. That's what's happened with the fixturing this year. And apparently it's going quite well. But anyway, who are you keen on or not so keen on from this one?
Let's go keen on Bales. Let's go I don't really have too many key forwards if I'm having a look, but I got one, and he's in this game. His name is Jeremy Cameron. I think this could be a big Jezza round. Look, he has the potential to kick a bag, and when he does, he usually scores pretty well. And in one of the better matchups, if not the best matchup, actually, over the last sort of 5 weeks to a couple of weeks there, 4 key forwards. He's in a particular race for the Coleman. I don't think it slows down this week in particular. I reckon he wants to make a point this round to show why he's considered one of the best forwards in the game still, even with his age. And in terms of fantasy, that's going to equal a lot of points if he can get that all together. So I'm not too sure who's going to match up with him, but I don't think it's going to be a good day in the office for them. They're going to be wanting to get through that game pretty 5+ pretty easy.
Yeah, exactly. He's not currently in my squad, but I'm trying to find room because I just think you've got to find room. And we've said it a few times with Geelong this year, how many Geelong forwards is too many? Because I think there's a lot of options this week that we're going to be liking. So obviously Baz Smith is, I know Baz has been quiet last 3 weeks, but where are we really taking him out of our forward lines? No, not happening. He's got there and he's still probably going to have salary in both of our squads. Brian Meyer's been killing it as well. Had some CBAs last week, still had 26 touches. Not the fantasy score, but it'll come. It was just a lot of handballs in that game and just didn't get it. But I want to give some props to, again, probably the Geelong forward that isn't highly owned in game this week because he's quite a rare card and someone doesn't get chatted about a lot in fantasy circles. But that's Sean Manor. What a pickup. Geelong find these players in the VFL that they just, and even just in the draft, they just pluck from the outside the 50 picks and just they turn into stars. And Sean Manor is one of those players. He, again, as a forward, hasn't been going huge in terms of scores. Like before last week, he had an 84, 99, 57, 99, then a 116, 98, 123. A lot of, so really consistent 90s guy and then a few tons. But on the weekend, 164 game day squad points. If you don't mind, kicked 3 goals. I think he kicked 3 goals, 3 as well. Could have been a lot bigger. Had the 24 disposals, 6 marks, 11 tackles. That's what you want to see from your fantasy players, right? And if you've got a forward that has got the ability to put up a score like that, and he's got another good matchup this week against North Melbourne, I want a piece of that. So I want him in my squad. I've only got the one, so he's in my classic side because that's the squad I'm trying to get the prize card in. But if I can somehow get my hands on another Sean Manor to put it in contender, I'll be really looking at doing that. So Sean Manor, shout out to you. You've been very, very good in terms of pickup for Geelong and also as a fantasy player for us this year as someone we can look at in a good matchup. But moving over to the other game at the same time, still surprised this game isn't a standalone game on like a Thursday or Friday night, but that is the showdown, Adelaide and Port Adelaide. So who are you keen on or not so keen on here? Because showdowns are quite interesting when it comes to not only the result, but also fantasy scores as well.
It is really interesting, and you're probably more equipped to sort of navigate the intricacies of this matchup and how it's sort of going to unplay. But someone who is known to be a showdown specialist, who show up, he's your captain. I know a couple of weeks ago I infamously said, don't start him. But big Jordy Dawson, I think, has to get in. He's one of the safer options. Like mids are going to be pretty tough to pick in this one. You've got Butters, and Butters, the Crows really good at defensively. Rosie there as well. Like whether he's going to be fully healthy and ready to go. If he's in, I think a lot of people.
I'm still not sure if he'll play or not.
Okay,
I'm still wondering if he'll play,
right?
Because he again, it sounds like signs to point to he's likely to play, but even him saying I'm the one that feels the pain and will make that decision and everything like that. It just makes me nervous. Like, because the thing is as well, it's a hand injury, right? Yep. It's not like he's going to go out there and have 40 and kick 3 and dominate. Like he's still got a hand. His fitness is fine, but his hand injury, it's going to be interesting to see how he goes with that. So I'm interested 100%. To see, but continue.
Jason Horne-Francis out. So that midfield already, is looking pretty thin. And who's going to dominate and who do I just think is the superstar that will rise above them all is Geordie. So pretty vanilla pick. I know it's one of the top scorers for the season, but in a game that means so much to both clubs, if someone's gonna do it, I think Jordan Dawson is one of the players that will come out on top. And he had a pretty big goal, was it a year or a couple of years ago in this exact game. So anything can happen, and he's a magic man. So we'll just have to see how great he is on the day.
Yep. I'm actually not as keen on Jordan Dawson this one. I'm a little bit worried because last time he played in the showdown, he got the Miles Bergman tag, and Miles Bergman will probably go there this week. But I did see something interesting that because Bergman would have been someone I actually wouldn't have minded playing in a squad this week in the showdown, but came out today that apparently he's got a shoulder injury that will require surgery, but he's going to be playing this week, which I personally think is a bit silly. I don't know why someone that is important to Port's future is going to be playing with an injury where he should be having surgery on it. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But with that, maybe John Dawson be a little bit easier, but I still expect him to get the tag from Bergman. As I said, I don't love a lot of players in this game either. Like I'm fading pretty much everyone in the showdown. I just don't love the showdowns for scoring. They're always quite low fantasy. We have seen some gains from players that have gone massive, like Butters last year in the Port home showdown, went pretty big and won the medal. And we've seen players in the past go big, but I'm slightly worried. Like you could take a dabble at like a Riley Thilthorpe with some of the injuries to Port's key defenders at the moment. Maybe he has a good game, but at the moment I don't currently have any Port or Crows player in my GameDay Squad, which is quite interesting being a Crows supporter. So thought I might have had someone there, but currently no one from this game. Moving to Sunday and the final two games of the round, we do have Richmond and Collingwood. And I'm just going to put it out straight away. Both really keen on Nick Dacos. We've got salary on him. That's what we're going to be doing. So maybe we'll try and pick someone else for the listeners that isn't Nick Dacos. So who are you keen on or not so keen on from here?
I think there's a couple other good options. I currently don't have any of them in, but I guess I'll say keen on not because I'm not keen on them. I'm just more keen on other players. But how about his brother, Josh? Josh is a pretty good player. And in a game like this where he pushes back and he's going to get potential for a couple kick-ins and a lot of kick mark sort of action. And I could just see both the Dacos brothers having a pretty tidy performance. Josh can sometimes be a little bit at the forgotten one, but when he's on and when he's playing well, he scores really well. Only 2 weeks ago, he had 154 fantasy points, and a couple of rounds before that, he had 155. And in those games, one of them he had 11 marks. There's absolutely no reason why he can't have a performance like that. We've seen multiple times this year of him getting over 20 plus kicks, and we talk about how Errol's so elite and good at that, and that's why he's good at fantasy. Well, Josh Dacos isn't too far behind, and in a really plus matchup where they're going to have a lot of hands on the ball, they're going to look to find Josh Dacos 100%, and he could score really well. So if you are tossing up sort of one of your last mid spots and you're not so sure on some other players, I think Josh Dacos is a really good shout to get in there on a pretty good pod as well.
Love that call. Love that call. If he was a defender in GameDay Squad, which he will be next year, he'd be a lineup lock this week with the matchup. But the fact he's a mid is probably going to go under the radar. I'm probably going to play him in a starter squad just to play him somewhere, because I think that it's going to be Nick that's going to get attention from maybe a Jack Ross. But we're seeing the last couple of weeks that Josh and Nick are swapping between midfield and half back. So I think this could be a game where Josh Dacos really goes big. So I might want access to that in the squad. But just don't think he quite overtakes some of the options we got this week, but really like that shout. If you want to go for another pod, someone's had a really good couple of weeks. Tim Taranto. He's been really good last couple of weeks. 151, 147 in GameDay Squad. He's kicked 4 goals over the last couple of weeks, including 3 last week. He's had over 30 disposals in the last 2 weeks, had at least 5 marks and at least 4 tackles. So really getting a few of the stats across the board. Collingwood won't send anyone to him, right? So if you want someone that's not going to get a tag that has an ability to pop a big score, maybe Tim Taranto could be your guy. So I don't mind him as a pick. And final game of the round is St Kilda and Melbourne. We've raced through these just over half an hour for the show, and we're already at the last game, which is really, really good. But yeah, St Kilda and Melbourne, who are you keen on or not so keen on from here?
There's a lot of keen on. I really like this game, actually. I think this could be a really good fantasy game for a lot of players. So definitely coming into this with a positive mindset for sure. Tough to pick, but I'm going to go with, I know it's easy to sort of say some of the main players. I'm going to go with someone who hasn't been playing as well and try to give some people out there some more confidence in starting him. But Jack Macrae, I know it's pretty tough to pick some forwards some rounds, but I do think that he's going to have a pretty big performance. He had 73 last week. He had 105 the week before. He had 104 only 2 weeks before that performance as well. But at the start of the year, this guy was a lineup lock. He did come and he sort of battled through a bit of an injury. But I think in this round in particular, with Melbourne being a pretty good matchup for mids, and, there's a lot more people who require attention, he could sort of just fly under the radar a little bit in terms of matchups on the field and could get his hands on the footy quite well. So last week he was really quiet, and I know there's not a whole lot of sort of confidence in the numbers that he's been putting up over the past rounds, but I'm going to be starting him. I think Macrae's going to sort of bounce back in a way, and he could be back to some of his better performances in this one in particular.
Yeah, don't mind the shout. I'm really interested to see his role this week, because Jack Steele's been number one guy obviously all year, but then you've got Nasai Wangani-Miller went in as the second most attended CBA guy, and he won behind Jack Steele. So it was like clear top 2. And then it was a bit of a shuffle of the other guys. Like Macrae had the next best, but he had about 15 or so. But then you had Hunter Clark came in for a few. Hugh Boxall had a few. They just, I feel like they're mixing and matching a little bit that spot. So I'm wondering, are they going to stick to Macrae and aside? Jack Steele was the 3 as the main 3, and then the other guys will get a handful? Or is it going to be more of the the main two, and then Macrae's going to be in that bucket of like the sort of rotating with those guys. So I'm really interested to see, but as a forward, I think you've still got to pick him. It's a great matchup. I'd be putting him in my squad. Another guy I'd be putting in my squad this week, a man that's been in very hot form, Jack Steele. And it's funny when you say Jack at St Kilda, it could be a multitude of players. We've got Jack Steele, Jack Macrae, Jack Sinclair, the list goes on. But Jack Steele has been in amazing form. 130, 152, 141 in his last 3 games. And it's been his tackles. They're back. They've been there a lot of the year. We haven't been seeing these big numbers for a few years from Jack Steele. 15, 13, and 14 tackles in his last 3 games, which has been incredible. But they've been consistent for a while. And since round 8, that's where really it sort of his form turned around. So he's gone 132, 124, 117, 141, 120, 118. Had a 75 against Collingwood in round 15. And I did hear a bit of media saying, is Jack Steele, is he still good enough to be in St Kilda's midfield and all this? But since then, he's almost like he's seen red because he just continued some good form. 105, 141, 152, 130. So someone that can rack up tackles as much as he does. Great matchup against Melbourne. I think Jack Steele's in for another big day. And I've got him and maybe some salary on him in a couple of my squads. So really like him this week.
And should have had a goal as well last round, just to point out. You just somehow couldn't make the distance. But
yes,
he's getting dangerous. He's pushing forward as well. Like it's a real good sight to see. Steele is back to his best, and I love that call, mate. It's excellent.
Yeah. Moving to our lock and fade of the week. So we'll start off with our locks of the week, and Tom will go to you first. Who's your lock of the week?
I'm glad you came to me first, because now at least we can't butt heads, because I've had this one before the show. You know, you just have that player and you're like, there's absolutely no chance I'm not starting them.
Why have I got a feeling we've got this? Why have I got the feeling we got the same lock? But go on. Who is your lock of the week?
Let's have a look. Last time he played this team, which was only this season, he had 37 kicks, 12 handballs, 5 marks, a tackle, and 191.
We have different players, which is good. We have different players. I'm glad.
That is good. But just so that again, 37 kicks. He had 191 fantasy points. That is Bailey Dale, who will be playing this week against the Dons. When you see 191, you see this year, you don't have to think about it too much, you know. Let history tell you that he's going to play well. Not only is he having a good season just period, so he's got a really good sort of framework to go off. In this matchup, it was his best game of the season by far, and things are only sort of getting better for him in his role. So he'll get his hands on the footy, he'll get a lot of pill, and I think it's going to equal a lot of fantasy points. So Bailey Dale is one I'm getting salary cap on, and he's my lock of the round, 100%.
The one question I just want to ask you, right? Because you're a man that's played footy and you still play footy, right? So like as someone that's played footy, Bailey Dale last time tore Essendon apart, and they spoke post game. Oh, we tried to tag him, but there was no tag. He was just let run free and get his 49 touches with, as you say, 37 kicks. And for those people playing along at home, if he just had 37 kicks and didn't do anything else with any marks or any tackles or anything, that's 148 GameDay Squad points. That's a massive score just on its own. And that was just kicks. Like he got other handballs, he got marks and whatever. It's just crazy. So, but do you think that Essendon will remember that and they'll put like a Matt Guelphy onto him and try and keep him quiet? Because that's sort of my only thing. I've still got him in my squad as well, but I'm just wondering, I want to get your quick thoughts on that.
Yeah. My thoughts are there are a lot more issues than just Bailey Dale in this game for the Dons. You look at that midfield, and Ed Richards is someone who could just tee off as well. We spoke about Bont before. Like, I don't know if you're really thinking about winning this game, and if you're going to nullify someone to try to impact the ball, I don't think you want to go for the halfback with how good the Dogs are. And look, maybe that is the easy answer, and they go with that just out of spite because of how good Dale played last time. You know, there could be a bit of bad blood or a bit of bad energy about it. But I just think I look at the midfield and I'm like, I think the issue and the cause is there, and if there is a tension, it probably starts there. But who knows? I may be wrong, and it could be a little concern. But yeah, Bailey Dale definitely will have the opportunity to score either way. So
yeah, he's in my squad as well. I'm pretty comfortable playing in this week. I just thought that was something I thought about. I wonder if they do think about that, but maybe they don't have enough to just stop him and just let Richards and that go absolutely free.
Last thing, I guess, look, they had Caldwell last time. They had Martin last time. They've lost these players as well. So in
they got no one.
Was already
decimated. They got Merritt. He's the only one really that's really there. And geez,
so I just can't imagine you go to training this week and think we're going to try to tag or anything. Like, you just got to try to throw everything you can at it and just be as offensive as possible, just because all your best ball users are essentially out. You just don't have any of them at your disposal.
Well, Guelphy started on Whitfield and they dropped that after a little bit. So maybe they do the same. They go there. But yeah, it'd be very, very interesting. But yeah, like I thought about Merritt this week playing him, and I thought he's just got no help. So is he really going to get to a score that's going to be good enough? So I don't have him at the moment currently. But my lock of the week is from the same team.
Go for it.
So we're both going from the same thing. I was going to mention him when we talk about this game, but I thought, no, I'll save for lock of the week because I'm really keen on this man. You talk about key forwards from, you obviously talk about Jeremy Cameron, but when I'm looking at another key forward that's on the play this week. Sam Darcy is my lock of the week up against the Bombers. He could go absolutely massive in this game here, and he's had some big games, but he's got the chance here to put an absolute bag together here and go really, really big. So for me, Sam Darcy is my lock of the week. I'm chucking him in a few squads and putting a little bit of salary probably on him as well in the hopes he can kick 5 or 6 and really sort of pump up that score there. Fades of the week. So who's your fade of the week?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Like, I don't have an outright sort of fade to say, but I guess maybe I guess we just spoke about that Saints Melbourne game. I don't know if I'm going to pick any of the rucks from it, and currently I haven't. And it might just be because I'm a little more optimistic about some of the other matchups. But I do feel like Marshall and Gawn will just take away a little bit from each other and probably take away that ceiling that they have in other rounds and in other matchups as well. So I'm going to go with fade of the week being that ruck duo or that ruck pairing for the game in the last one there. So I'm going to be fading Marshall and fading Gawn because I can't see both of them having top tier performances essentially. Like, one probably could, and if I had to pick one, it's probably Gawn. But with how good the other matchups are around the grounds as well, like, I'd probably be avoiding both of them for this one and looking elsewhere, because it's probably pretty easy to look at the average for the season and go, yep, all righty, let's get Gawn in. He's one of the better rucks, but I'd be trying to think a little outside the box here and try to go elsewhere, and that's exactly what I'm doing.
I'm still quite keen on Gawn because St Kilda is still giving up a truckload of points to rucks. So Gawn will be the one I'll be picking. But yeah, Marshall's someone I'm not looking at this week, particularly with Max Heath in the side as well, just taking away that ceiling from him there. But St Kilda's run after this week. They've got North Melbourne, who obviously we just saw what Grundy did. So maybe Marshall next week's more relevant. But this week, I do agree. Fade of the week, can I say Hawthorn and Carlton? Because we're not playing anyone from there. Fade of the week, no one there. No, I'm not going to go there. I'm going to go because fade of the week, there's not really anyone I look at that's like, yep, they've got a. Actually, no, I do have one. So I do have one. So I was going to say Whitfield, but I'm not like sort of going, yep, you have to fade him, right? My fade of the week is one of your favorites. You've played him a lot this year, and I didn't play him a lot because I didn't have a bronze of him for a while. And he's been in amazing form, probably one of the form players of the comp. But I'm fading Big Call. Cozzy Pickett is my fade of the week. And the reason that he's my fade of the week, you look at the matchup against St Kilda, right? It's already a tough matchup in itself because Saints don't actually give up that many points. But if we cast our mind back to when they last played, and I'm just trying to get the round that they last played. So that was in round 12 of this year. And you look at what Cozzy Pickett did in that game. So he had Marcus Windhager tag him for that game. So round 12, no goals, 7 kicks, 5 handballs, 1 mark, 3 tackles, 53 game day squad points. Marcus Windhager did an absolute number on him as a tag. And because it worked so well, and because Melbourne lost the game and St Kilda won, they'll do it again. I know Windhager hasn't been tagging for the last few weeks, but Cozzy Pickett, it worked last time. He's one of the former players of the comp, and St Kilda know this. They're not going to let Cozzy Pickett do what he wants. So for me, he's my fade of the week. I'm not starting him in any of my squads. I don't want to go there this week. He might go well anyway, but this week I'm not playing Cozzy, even though I really, really do like watching Cozzy as a player. Now, let's get into our squads as we wrap up the show. So we'll go through Tom's squad first, as we always do, and we'll see who Tom is starting in his game day squad for the upcoming round. And it is in, I'm just trying to find the file. Here we go. Here it is as it pops up on the screen now. 3, 2, 1, bang. Oh, that was perfect timing there. But that is Tom's team for the upcoming round. So, Tom, talk us through your squad for this week.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Isaiah Wanganeen-Miller, gun. Max Holmes, I actually think he could play really well, hence why I've got some salary cap on him as a defender. Zorko is just super safe. I actually faded him last round thinking it was raining and it was going to impact him a lot.
I almost did as well. Almost did that as well.
So he's done this to me twice. Last time at the Gabba it rained, I faded him. He still got to 125, and this time he's done it again. So I know you're talking about some concerns with weather on the weekend. Maybe I do it again, but he's burnt me twice doing it, so it just doesn't feel like it's worth it. Sinclair, Ash, Dale, and Duggan, who I said was one of the pods of the round. I'm loving that Freo duo in the middle. I know I spoke about Brayshaw and how the play style probably favours him a little more, but that doesn't mean Sarong isn't going to be on the end of so much of that impact I'll have there. Big Bad Bond, Dorso, and McCluggage. With that rain consideration, it definitely will impact someone like McCluggage maybe more than a Zorko. So I could see myself moving that to maybe someone like a Steele that you touched on, maybe to even someone like a Tommy Green. He's been in some pretty good form, but I guess Steele's matchup is probably a little nicer. So maybe you head that way. Brody Grundy, the safest start in the comp currently. He's matchup proof, so I've got a gold on him because maybe he doesn't have the same ceiling, but the floor is just disgustingly good right now. So why not? Timmy English, the GOAT, or at least my GOAT. Big Tingles. Love him. He's in for me as well.
Big T.
Smitter, Luke Jackson in what's going to be a pretty good matchup. We'll play in the ruck. We'll play forward, and it's against West Coast. So why not get a silver there? I have gone with Cozzy Pickett, your fade of the round. So that's making me a little nervous. But I've gone Myers, McRae, Kennedy, who we didn't touch on. But honestly, against the Dons, he could be one of the better scoring players. Pretty poor performance 2 weeks ago, but he was sick, and it came out pretty late that he was sick, hence why he played so poorly. But now he played last week, got back to 117 points. He's back to his best. And Big Jezza as the key forward of the round for me. I think he could kick a ton of goals, hence why I've got him into the squad. But that is how we are looking, all put together with all of our salary cap allocated. Bales, I guess it's time to throw it back to you, mate. Show us your squad. Show us how you've done your salary cap.
Yep. So it will pop up there, and it's still actually. Hang on, it's still saying your squad is here. We'll just there you go. Normally StreamYard on the other one, it normally just pops up. But anyway, here we are, good to go. So this is the current squad that I've got running with for this round. So the Sires, Zorko, Sinclair, Sheasel, Holmes, Dale, and Jordan Clark. So probably the big one there is I don't have the Giants duo in either of the Lockies in Ash or Whitfield. So that is going to be an interesting play to see how that goes this week. But the Sire, regardless if he gets a Langdon tag this week, which I think he potentially could, I think he's a lineup like you can't take him out. Zorko as well. I think I agree that even if it's raining, I think he's got to be there. Yep. Sinclair, look, with Nasai playing the midfield, Sinclair's taken all the kick-ins. He's taken all the ball in the defensive 50. So in this run home, particularly this week as well, I think Jack Sinclair could be in for another good game. Harry Sheasel against Geelong, even last week against Sydney, still went over 100 fantasy points. And I think Under the Roof at Marvel could be a decent game for him. Maxi Holmes, obviously we talk about him every week being there, but another good matchup for him, along with Bailey Dale. And then Jordan Clark against West Coast, I think he'll have a good game. I do like Colby McKercher as well. He's someone, again, that had a tough game last week, but got the Jordan tag. He could be someone I might plug in there as well. But there's a lot of defenders I like this week. There's probably 10 that I'd like to play. Midfield, obviously the All-Star Dacos is going to be really handy this week, along with Bont. Got the salary as well on Brayshaw, Dunkley, and Jack Steele. And I've got Matt Rao. So I've gone for Matt Rao over Caleb Sarong on my bench, just because it's going to be wet. Those tackles are going to be there, but I could flip that as well. I do like Caleb Sarong as well. So, yeah, that's the midfield. Grundy, as you say, one of the safer plays in fantasy at the moment. So I've got salary on him at the ruck, along with English. I wanted to fit Gawn in, but Grundy I'm not taking out. And then English against Essendon, I think it's a better matchup for him than, because Marshall gives up points, but I feel like Marshall's a tricky matchup. It's weird, right? Because you look at the matchup and you go, Marshall's giving up the most points for rucks over the last 5 weeks. But if I'm looking at Marshall versus Goldstein, who's the tougher matchup? I think it's Marshall will still be a tougher. But in saying that, Gawn could still go 150 and English should just go 130. But I'm fine with doing that. I've got English there. And then, forward line, Baz, Kennedy, McRae, Myers, Jackson, Manor, and Darcy. But I'm trying to find a way to get Jezza in, because I think Jezza is going to be big this week. So maybe it is McRae. Maybe McRae's gone for me this week.
Maybe it's McRae after what you said, right?
That could be the one that I do this week. So that'll be 4 Geelong forwards in my forward line. So it'll be interesting to see there. Corey Bloodage was also saying this as well, as we mentioned before, but going to be interesting pick this week, English, Gawn, Grundy in matchups. Yes, it's going to be an interesting week because those three, I think, good matchups there. I think I'm English and Grundy, but Gawn is someone that you could definitely pick this week as well. And Corey also said that can't decide between Cameron or Smith this week. All I would say to that is, the Keelan DOS, why not pick both? That's what I'd say. Yeah, Smith has got to be in there. Yeah. You can't take Smith. Smith has to be in there. And I think it's got to be a way we can try and fit Cameron in. At the moment, I'm thinking Jack McRae could be the guy that unfortunately makes way, just if they do play Nasai, Jack Steele, and then they swap that third position around. But Jack McRae's the sort of guy that could easily go 140, 150 in GameDay Squad and bite me, because he'll be quite popular. So will be interesting to see how that goes. But that'll do us for another GameDay Squad preview show for round 20. So should be another good round of footy. Plenty of good matchups this week for fantasy. Tom, where can the people find you across the socials?
Yeah, mate, you can find me on X at TommyGDS, or look at any of the other GameDay Squad socials. We're across all your favorite platforms. If you don't know about this, I know we've mentioned it a couple times this season, but I'll just give you a quick reminder. We do have a Discord server, and that Discord server is full of coaches who just love playing GameDay Squad. They love talking trades, decisions, etc. So if you do want to get a little more involved with what we're doing, and you can have some discussions with coaches in real time about player cards maybe you want to trade for, you want to trade away, it is the absolute best place to do it. So by all means, it's free to join, of course. It's a bunch of fun, so why not? If you do need any help with getting started with GameDay Squad, whether it's the footy games or the new football, the English soccer game that just came out, by all means, please reach out. We've got a pretty good support team and network that can help you get started along your journey. We've upped the amount of bronze cards you get creating a new account, and there's a bunch of promotions going around. You can get some extra common packs on top. So there's been no better time, if you haven't jumped on, to sign up and get started. And if you're an existing user, all those beautiful bronze packs I was talking about, all those bonuses, they'll be there for you when you click on the football and pick your squad name. So don't worry, you won't miss out. Everyone can have fun and join in. So, we're pumped. It's a fantastic week. And Bales, I'll throw it over to you to answer.
Yep, exactly. And you make sure you use the code BAILSDT at sign up to get those free extra packs as well. Use that code because you might as well, right? You get your free packs and you're happy. So use code BAILSDT at sign up when you do sign up to GameDay Squad. And it shouldn't be and if you sign up, should be when you sign up, because you have to sign up. It's a great game of GameDay Squad. Great prize on offer, and it's free to play, as Tom Way says as well. So make sure you guys do get around it. You can find me at BAILSDT across the socials, and us at AFL Fantasy Fans on X And wherever you get your podcasts, AFL Fantasy Fanatics is where you can find us there as well. I'll be back for the usual content throughout the remainder of the week, but we'll be back. We'll be back next week for another Game Day Squad preview show, looking ahead to round 21 as we enter the final month of the season. So looking forward to it. So good luck in Game Day Squad this week, everyone. Hope you smash out a big score. Hopefully your players can go well. And we'll chat to you guys next week.